8:38, everybody. There are some big plans for a popular downtown park.
Wagner Park, which is down near the Battery, is going to be remade. It's about 3.5 acres. The eastern half faces the city. The western half faces the river and the port.
Okay, so the park features events including summer concerts, right? But it's going to be closed in August for about a year and a half. The idea is to raise the greenery area by more than 10 feet and install flood protection system.
So sketches of what it will look like, you're looking at
Beautiful.
right now, show off the grass as well as other features. But there is some opposition from people who say there's no need to do this and destroy the park as it exists right now.
So let's talk about this, right? And here to talk about more is B.J. Jones. He's the president and CEO of the Battery Park City Authority. Good to see you.
Good morning. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being with us. So tell us, first and foremost, what's the point of doing all this work to Wagner Park?
Well, you were just talking about how we're kicking off summer, but we need to be mindful that hurricane season is also upon us. And as you mentioned, this park, our neighborhood, is located right next to the river. And Superstorm Sandy made us very mindful of the fact that we're vulnerable, just like the rest of Lower Manhattan and other coastal communities in New York and elsewhere. And so we have to do something to protect not just the public space, but the adjacent neighborhood and beyond.
It's so interesting that we're talking about Wagner Park. That is the exact spot I was in for 2 days during Sandy, reporting from, standing on benches as the water came in. So obviously it's needed in that specific area. Some people are looking and saying, what's the cost?
Yeah, listen, resiliency measures here and everywhere are a significant investment. We are talking about millions of dollars. And when you talk about all of the work we need to do in Battery Park City and around Lower Manhattan with the city, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. But the cost of inaction is even greater.
Yeah. So what do the plans include? Like, what are some of the improvements? There's a new restaurant, from what I understand, and other additions.
Yeah, so in the project area that we're talking about, which includes Wagner Park, we're looking at a flood barrier system that starts behind the Museum of Jewish Heritage, protecting that vital cultural institution, extending through Wagner Park with a buried flood wall so that we can maximize open space by building over it, and then extending through Pier A and across to the Battery, where it meets another high point. And we spent a lot of time, years, designing and engineering this, working with community stakeholders to get important feedback on it, and the design has evolved as a result. So you'll see things that are really important, like expansive lawns, but also public amenities, like you mentioned as well.
So let's talk about this, because downtown suffered some severe flooding from Hurricane Sandy. Like I said, I was down there in Wagner Park. Critics of the plan say Wagner Park didn't flood as bad as other areas in Lower Manhattan. That's why I was able to stand there for so long, right? And that there were areas like the Battery Tunnel and other parts of Battery Park City that flooded more, saying, so why touch this park when it wasn't necessarily in the flood zone?
Yeah, two reasons. One is that, unfortunately, we have to prepare for worse than Sandy. The data and the science shows that storms are getting more frequent, but they're also getting more severe. And so we really have to be prepared for worse than Sandy. And then secondly, every link in the chain of a resiliency effort here in Lower Manhattan is really important. We need all of the pieces to come together. And this corner in Battery Park City at the south end is a vital piece of that whole system.
Yeah, so clearly you're trying to be proactive. So are there any other plans that are in the works to protect that area of Lower Manhattan?
Well, I'm really proud of our team. We just completed our first resiliency project, actually, at the Battery Park City ball fields, where Downtown Little League just, had their season on more resilient fields. They were wiped out during Sandy, and so that was an important first step. But we've got to extend this protection along the western edge of Battery Park City and also to the north, because the waters rush in from all directions, and then ultimately connect to what the city is planning around the east side and coming around Lower Manhattan.
So are there public hearings for this that are set to take place this summer, or is it a going 100% full speed ahead starting in August?
We're we're feeling a tremendous sense of urgency for this project. We are not planning to start construction until after Labor Day, actually. And, we have had a few years of community engagement and public meetings. We've been working with the community board, who's taken their duty very seriously, just had a public hearing for the environmental review component for it. And I invite everybody to go to our website, bpca.ny.gov, and look at our resiliency page, where we have a whole library of our presentations, our designs, and recordings of the meetings and the conversations that we've had over the last 5 years on this important initiative.
All right, B.J. Jones, President of CEO of the Battery Park City Authority. We appreciate your time and for sharing all the information about this new project.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
And the timer.